You look like you just seen a corpse.
Well, the roads are effed, and something's wrong with the generator.
Which generator?
All of them.
Can't get on the internet!
Also, there's a dead body under your porch.
Holy!
Werewolves Within. Well, it's still February and it's still a dump month, and Madam Web isn't really something I want to pay to see right now. Maybe later when I can pirate it, or it just drops on streaming unceremoniously. So you know what that means. Off to Shudder I go, which just so happens to have dropped a movie I had been meaning to see since it released 3 years ago. Coming out in 2021 and with a minimal budget comes Werewolves Within, which is actually based on the Ubisoft game of the same name, which comes from the tabletop game. So I don't know, we've all played it or some other variation at some point. It's Furry Among Us. Or simplified Clue. You know, one or multiple killers that the group has to suss out before they're all picked off one by one. This film is kind of like that. It follows a down-on-his-luck forest ranger being newly stationed in a very small town, and I mean small. This cast is only 14 people. It's really tiny. Anyway, while on the job, a storm rolls through, trapping everyone in the town's lodge. All seems just unlucky until Finn the Ranger discovers all the generators in the town have been sabotaged and a dead body under the lodge's porch. He teams up with the town's mail courier Cecily as they try to investigate, as the townspeople start to suspect someone among them is either a murderer or a werewolf come to feast. It's a lot simpler than that sounds, and this is very much a comedy movie.
Put it on your Kwanzaa tree?
No such thing.
It is not scary by any means, and never tries to be. It's way more focused on the mystery and just comedy of it all, including a couple twists and a fun ending surprise. I think it's enjoyable enough with a decent story to follow, even if it does kind of go off the rails at about the third quarter right before the climax. I've been wanting to see this movie for a while, since it just so happens to be directed by Josh Rubin of College Humor, now Dropout fame. He's been slowly getting some projects out. His first film was 2020's Scare Me, which is a great improvisational low-budget horror comedy that I'll always recommend, that I think is fantastic. It's very good. While his second starring role is in 2022's A Wounded Fawn. Watch my review for that here, up in the corner there, which was a delightfully more artistic approach. I like his work, and I think he's a very funny comedian and actor, which makes it a bit concerning that he's not acting in this film and didn't even write it, staying as the director. He's still got a good vision and knows his way around a camera, but I think he needs just a few more movies under his belt. Some scenes have a bit of an odd staging, and some cuts feel weird, but mostly it's a pretty solid movie. The writing, though, just isn't as funny as I would have hoped. It doesn't have any genuinely laugh-out-loud moments, for me anyway, but I chuckled here or there, especially with last seen on Quick Reviews in Puss in Boots and The Last Wish. Harvey Guillen's stereotypical rich gay character. He is great. Not too much about the husband character, but Harvey is just, he's a lot of fun when he's on screen, being a little, one of those snarky mean gays. It's fun.
Are we really in a Mexican standoff right now?
Baby, don't say Mexican. Just stand up.
This movie was instead written by a woman named Mishna Wolf back in 2018 that was shopped around before finally Rubin was led to be the director. Her writing is alright for the most part, but it just didn't have the edge I expected from Rubin. I think that had she had focused a bit more on it and maybe changed up something here or there, could have had something a little better, but for what we got, it's okay. I think she just needs a little bit more experience, but otherwise it's pretty solid. The low budget of this movie does help with the charm as well, and the costumes are delightfully over the top in all of the right ways. The mystery, though, is a little meh, with a surprise climax that feels just a little out of nowhere before just giving into the madness the last quarter of the film brings. The true enjoyment of the movie, though, is the extremely talented cast. They aren't really given a lot to do, and some people are certainly more of a standout than others, but overall it's a very solid cast of 14 potential victims/werewolves that really helps gel the plot together, especially when they're all in one location working off of each other. Especially Sam Richardson as Ranger Finn. He is just so immediately likable and a believable everyman that just wants to be a good dude in a town where nobody will really let him. He's great and is just a perfect pick for the character. His sidekick mail courier Cecily, played by Milana Vaintrub, is also a lot of fun and pretty funny. Her delivery is really good. I thought she kinda looked like Kate Micucci at first too, but she's not. But still very, very fun. Cecily is an enjoyable and quirky friend, and a good potential love interest to Finn that I got pretty engaged watching them interact off each other. Their chemistry on screen is just phenomenal, and the way they work off of certain bits and talk to each other, and in some cases act out physically, it works really, really well. I feel like they have a history, but I can't tell from what I've researched. Honestly, I wish the movie was a bit longer just so I could watch these two talk and share jokes and bits more. Everyone else in the film is pretty solid, but these two are just the clear standouts with the biggest roles, which is a very good choice. It's all a great setup, complete with fun characters and a rather interesting setting. It has a decent setup for a mystery as well, but unfortunately, it kind of falls apart for me in the latter half. Specifically the last quarter of the movie. Like I mentioned before, there comes a point where the whodunit mystery is sort of thrown out the window in favor of the typical infighting among the townspeople, and man, that's just not really engaging for me. It can certainly be done well and can fit better in other films, but here it just didn't work. Some character motivations are all over the place for no reason than to further the body count and plot along, which is a shame because the pacing was fine until the final couple scenes before the climax. If the movie was just a little longer, I think it could have reached a more sensible and enjoyable conclusion, even keeping the climax intact, but that bit just before it really rubs me the wrong way. Again, I can see where the writer was going with it, and it makes a lot of sense thematically, but it just wasn't handled in a very fun or meaningful way, just awful people being awful and doing out-of-character things because the plot demands it, I guess. And that sucks, to me anyway. It wasn't very funny and it felt rushed when the movie up until then had a very good pace. It really dragged the movie down for me, and I think that bit needs a rewrite. So what if the film would get closer to 2 hours? That's fine as long as it would be a solid extra few minutes. I think that that's really all the movie has weighing it down. Some characters could be improved or expanded upon as well, but ultimately that one bit is the only thing that's really bugging me and making me bring the movie's score down. Otherwise, it'd be an extremely solid 8 or an 8.5, I think. I don't know. Overall, it's a fun whodunit with minimal gore, a non-serious plot, and a couple decent chuckles and some genuinely fun characters and character interactions, but it's very much a one-and-done movie for me that doesn't really justify the game tie-in. It has nothing to do with the game at all, aside from the potential werewolf and one doctor character. So I would say that it's fine to watch, and I recommend at least one view for a good time, maybe with a group of people, and then you can play the game afterwards, because hey, the game is a lot of fun if you have a good group. So I think this would be a fun party movie. I know I say that a lot, but this is one where you can actually pay attention to it and enjoy it. And it's something that even kids can kind of watch. I think there are some swearing, so I don't know about really little kids, but there's very, very minimal gore, and it's just an overall good time. But that's about it. Ultimately though, Werewolves Within gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. I really like Josh Rubin's projects, and I kind of wish that he had written this, because I feel it would have been a bit smarter and a bit well-paced. I really enjoyed Scare Me, even though it does have its flaws. I still highly recommend it. I put that on my Halloween recommendation list 2 years ago for 2022. because it's just a lot of fun, and the improv skills in it is fantastic. And this is another one where it's a very small cast. You can have a lot of improv as the characters interact with each other, and you just don't get a lot of that here, which really bugs me. I understand what the writer was going for, but I feel like it could have been handled just in a better way at about that 75% mark. I honestly don't know if Ruben could have done a better job. I don't know if he has any other movies in the works here. I think he got caught up with COVID and hasn't done anything since, but I know he's on Dropout all the time doing their shows, but I don't think he's written anything. So maybe we'll get another movie out of him soon. I sure hope so. I think he's got a very good future ahead of him with this stuff, and it's just funny. I like horror comedies, and we need more of them that are good and not just self-referential. What do you guys think? Do you like Josh Rubin? Do you like horror comedies? Do you like horror comedy whodunit slasher movies? Isn't that just the entire Scream franchise? I don't even know anymore. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul alone. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.